It's a pleasure to have your company tonight. Well, tonight on Time to Talk, we are setting out to expose those Hollywood frauds, those so-called talented men and women who make millions per year by churning out films that seem to appeal and be lapped up by the mindless masses. We've assembled some of the region's top minds for tonight's project. Claire, Michelle and Tracy will help me uncover the top 5 most overrated actors in Hollywood. Lights, camera, action. Welcome, Michelle, Tracy and Claire.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Can you imagine it, Tracy, waking up in the morning, stretching and just knowing, yep, a lazy meal on the pile today just for turning up and reading some lines, pretending to be someone that you're not?
No. I couldn't do it.
I pretend to be someone else every day. I don't get paid that sort of money, though.
No, millions and millions of dollars for showing up for a few hours every day. I know you hear that they work, 12-hour days, blah, 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 but they only do that for a few months of the year and they get paid $20 million a movie. It's a huge amount of money.
And then I'll do a TV show in my hiatus.
Oh, hiatuses.
That's right. Michelle, are they worth all that money? All that money?
No, I think that's an obscene amount of money, and it, quite frankly, makes me quite angry that it's not me getting it.
At least we're honest about it. So look, we've put this up on Facebook over the week too, and we've been asking people what they thought. We'll be talking about some notable worst actors that people have mentioned on Facebook throughout the week, but we need the official top 5, and we've sorted that out. It was a hard task because there were plenty to choose from.
It was difficult to narrow it down to just 5.
Let's start with number 1 though. Ashton Kutcher or Kutcher. Kutcher.
Whatever.
We don't even
Really?
in Australia, for all those Americans listening, he can't even pronounce the name. Those Aussies, they think they know what they're talking about, but they can't even pronounce it. It's Kutcher, you moron.
Oh, well.
Well, I'm sorry, but
You should be paid $10 million for that acting.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, that's it. I think that was better acting than Ashton's ever done in his life. However, why is Ashton on our top 5 official list tonight?
For that 70s show, that's terrible.
It's a good starting point. That 70s show.
It's ridiculous.
I only know him being famous as Demi Moore's husband.
Exactly. Well, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, and now
Not
he's being
anymore.
paid a ridiculous amount of money to be Charlie Sheen's replacement in, 2.5 Men?
That's just sad.
It is.
Really?
It is, yeah.
He doesn't seem to have been in anything good, though, because in America they seem to lap it up, but here in Australia, what is it, 2.5 Men? That is an awful show.
And you know
I
what
don't
show he also
understand it.
used to be on, which is just hideous, is Punked. Where they play those awful tricks on people.
I liked that.
Did you watch that?
I've got a bit more respect for him now.
Oh, really? Oh, I've just lost all respect for you.
The American Jeremy Beadle. That's,
What the?
you have to Google him.
Please explain.
He's just
Jeremy
like
Beadle?
a candid camera type of guy from America with a little hand.
We will Google that later, and
We will. And because Ashton Kutcher is so bad, we couldn't even find a movie he's been in.
know.
No,
What
go to number
movies he been
4.
in?
I said he was in some rom-coms, but I can't even think of the name of the
yeah,
rom-com.
yeah, the one with
Brittany
Murphy.
And I'm sure he was in something with Cameron Diaz, but
probably.
I don't really know.
See, these Aussies don't even know the movies he's been in.
don't.
But
Please
still, I
don't.
think he definitely deserves to be
it's
there.
horrible.
Number 4 on our list, Tom Cruise. Now, he's highly acclaimed. Now, Claire,
Acclaimed for what?
acclaimed for his acting and...
Oh, and he's a liar. I reckon he's 5'10". My God, isn't that 4'10"?
I don't think he's acclaimed for his acting. He's acclaimed for the amount of movies that he's made, and they have a lot of them been big box office, but as we discussed
He's a big
earlier,
draw card.
every single movie, every character that he plays is exactly the same. He's a superhero. He gets all the baddies. He can do everything. He always
But
gets
even
the
when
girl,
he plays the
never
baddie,
changes.
it's a good baddie.
Yeah.
Like, it's still the same
And he's
character.
still a
It's just
superhero
baddie.
that can fly planes and shoot guns and scuba dive and blow up and rescue the world. Every single
I'm going to stick up
character.
for him a bit. I saw Valkyrie and I thought he was really very good in
With
that.
his American accent being a German.
Yes, well...
Great.
You couldn't have him talking in German, though, Tracy. What did you want the man to do?
Accent.
Hitler. I don't know. I can't even remember.
We're turning into a really bad version of Hogan's Heroes. I know nothing.
Oh, man. So, Claire, wasn't it you who said Tom Cruise wasn't that bad, or were you sticking up for number
my goodness,
3?
no, I don't like him at all.
Why don't you like Tom Cruise?
Because he's look, I liked him in Risky Business.
What about sorry to interrupt, but what about A Few Good Men? Wasn't he? You Can't Handle the Truth. That whole scene, wasn't he brilliant?
It's
in that?
probably the better of a bad bunch.
I just see him as he's always, as Michelle was saying, he's always playing the goodie. That's like he's the American hero in the end, and he's the good one, and he's just not. Have you ever seen him play a role where he's autistic or something like that? No. I haven't. Look at Rain Man. Why can't he play? Why can't he play Robert De Niro's role? Or why can't he?
So in Rain Man, you would have preferred him to play Dustin Hoffman.
Absolutely. Actually, no, I wouldn't, because that would have been really bad.
Not Robert De Niro. Dustin Hoffman. Sorry.
And Dustin Hoffman could have been him.
I reckon that would have been
a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think they should remake it. I think you're right. Let's give it a run.
Let's test Tom Cruise, see if he can do a more diverse kind of role.
Oh, we're full of credibility tonight.
I do have to say, though, partly in Tom Cruise's defence, he is very marketable, and they're very smart in the way they market his movies. They do make
the Mission Impossibles are great. I mean, I don't know how much acting
same
ability.
Character.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So Tom Cruise is there. Number 3 on the most overrated actors in Hollywood, we've got Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner, and I don't think there's many people who disagree about that selection.
Well, I disagreed vastly.
Oh, you do?
I'm a big fan.
Same with me, The Bodyguard.
Did you see Waterworld?
No, I actually haven't seen that.
Didn't that movie cost like
$40
million or something?
The biggest flop of all time at the time,
I think it's just because he's hot.
It is,
Really?
and he was beautiful in The
Definitely.
Bodyguard. The Bodyguard was just, everyone has to agree, like that was just an awesome movie, and he was,
In The Bodyguard, he mumbled his way through it.
Oh, it was great though.
And then when he picked her up and he ran out of the room.
Oh, it's beautiful.
No.
I love it.
I've been picked up like that before.
Have you? And
Yeah.
taken out of the room when
My
people
ex-wife
were
at our
screaming?
wedding carried me across the threshold. Might explain a few problems that we had further down the track. What else was Kevin Costner in? He was in Tin Cup, Field of Dreams,
Field of Dreams.
Dances with Wolves.
That was a classic.
Dances with Wasn't he good in that movie?
He was
Trace?
really good in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really, really good in
And
that.
I do like the JFK movie. Maybe not for Kevin Costner, but I just
Yeah, it was a good movie.
It was a good movie.
And it's interesting tonight, we need to define that we're not talking about bad actors per se, even though Ashton Kutcher would fall into that. We're talking about overrated actors, people who seem to be considered really, really top world-class actors, but we think, no, that just shouldn't be there. Like a Meryl Streep deserves to be there, for example, but Kevin Costner, Meryl Streep, no,
There's
it's just
no
not quite
comparison.
happening.
No, when you look at the amount of movies, and we're sitting here with sheets with the movies that some of these guys have been in, and half of them, or more than half of them, I've never even heard of.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was saying.
So some people would beg the question, why are we making out that he's an overrated actor when we haven't even viewed half of his back catalogue? I've never wanted to view Kevin Costner's back catalogue personally.
I think I've seen the earlier movies and just haven't bothered watching any of the later movies.
That's very true.
It's the opposite way around.
Well, maybe they just never made the screen. That's why we haven't. I don't know.
Now we've got an Aussie there at our number 4. Most overrated actor of all time, Nicole Kidman. Now, she's a real divisive character, Nicole Kidman. Some people seem to think she can act on a level of a Meryl Streep. Other people think, no, she's often been accused of having the frozen face that can't show
ice
emotion.
Queen or ice princess type.
What do we think
she
of our
definitely
Nicole?
lacks emotion in a lot of her, or like she doesn't scrunch her face up when she cries and have snot and tears everywhere like real people do. It's very she's quite
Do any
fake to
actors,
me.
though?
Yeah,
Some do.
Some do.
Toni Collette, I think, is an absolutely amazing, versatile actress
I
who
agree,
is not afraid to play a role where she's,
her
looks
appearance,
ugly or no makeup or to be with real emotion in it, that sort of thing. I find Nicole a bit
Wooden?
fake, very false and plasticky in a lot of her
She moved her
roles.
face a lot in Bewitched. She wiggled her nose.
She did wiggle her
She had to.
nose quite a bit. Yeah, but
I liked her in the. I mean, like, I remember her in BMX Bandits. I mean, she was great in that. And it
In
was natural.
Vietnam.
She
It
was
was natural.
real in that. That was
Exactly.
the
Her
difference.
frizzy hair and her freckles. Now,
Was she only
in
about
her
13 in that, wasn't she?
Probably.
She was very
yeah.
young.
But that was the real her, you know, the tomboy from next door and, you know, riding a BMX. But now it's just too fake. That's just
And I would not personally have her on the overrated list because I absolutely love To Die For. Have any of you seen that? She plays the weather girl. It was the first breakout movie after she divorced, and people said, "Oh, well, she was only getting the roles because of Tom Cruise." But after she divorced, she got this little. It was almost like an indie film, and it was just kept you spellbound the whole time.
But was that the story or the acting that kept you spellbound?
No, it was her.
Was it?
She was magnetic because the very first scene in that has a very close up of her face, and she's videoing her life. She wants to be a celebrity. She wants to be famous, and so she's videoing her story. And she's just magnetic. You can't stop watching. And she's evil as all hell in that movie too. Very disturbed woman. That's
What's
probably
that
why
one
I
called?
liked it. It's called To Die For.
Okay.
And what about she won the Oscar, Claire, didn't she? For Best Actress. In The Hours.
Really?
Best Supporting Actress, I think she won the Oscar for.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How can us Aussies
What
not
was she
know
in?
that?
What was she in? She was with that guy that was really controlling. What movie was that?
A guy who was really... Tom
Yeah.
Cruise? Are you
I
thinking about
know.
a real life or
No,
Scientology?
it was,
or
and they were on a boat or
Dead
something.
Calm.
Dead Calm. That's
one
it.
of the old ones.
Yeah.
That was really
But
good.
she's
was
acted
good,
on
yeah.
stage, hasn't she? Has she been in stage shows? I
She
think
did take a
has.
hiatus and do stage, yeah.
And I think
Hiatus.
if you
It's the
can
second
act
time.
on stage, that would be an indicator of being a pretty competent actor, because obviously you can't just say, "Cut, I'll do that again, I got it wrong." Like,
That's right,
You're
yeah.
there in front of a live audience. So
I think
if
she's
you
very
can-
accomplished, yeah. Is it The Others, Moulin Rouge?
But again, even in that, like all her facial expressions just seem the same and sort of somehow
Well, her
false.
face was perfect for The Others because she had to look permanently shocked every time she turned the corner.
I'm a bit on the fence. I wouldn't say overrated, really. I don't know.
No,
certainly
she's
not in the
certainly
league
not
of
my
Ashton
favourite.
Kutcher.
She's certainly not my favourite.
No, she's not in the same
No,
league as
and
Ashton.
in that Australia movie, you know, that was a bit disappointing. It's
I
she's
love
not-
that movie.
Yeah,
disappointing.
Yeah.
And Bangkok Hilton, the Australian miniseries.
Yeah, in
back-
Vietnam, the Australian miniseries, when she was younger, in her early days, I think she was a lot more
She's become a bit
realistic.
Hollywood now, yeah?
too
Bit
Hollywood.
plastic.
Plastic and yeah.
There you go. Well, I think we finally nailed it there.
So I know that if I ever make it to Hollywood, I will try my hardest not to
Keep
become
it
fake and
real.
plastic.
Don't be
and
tempted.
don't get
You will
plastic
still be my
surgery 'cause then
friend,
you can't
definitely.
move your face. And
Yeah.
You know, I like my actors where
Show
you
me
you-
happy face.
Not
Show
just
me
you
sad
can,
face.
not that they move their face, but when you actually can see their emotions in those subtle little gestures or their eyes, you know, they really get into the character and they don't have to move their face to portray what's going on internally for them. They're
Sure,
the kind of
sure.
actors that I just love.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some notable mentions. These aren't part of our official top 5, but on Facebook this week we had quite a few people responding. Keanu Reeves was touted as a possible.
He can be pretty wooden. I think I've heard, you know, a lot of people say he can be very wooden when he acts in a lot of different things.
And sort of the same sort of character. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
Always happy.
No.
But what do you think of Arnie? Like, he's all right, isn't he? Really?
No.
No.
Not in terms, again, the versatility isn't there. The different emotions isn't there. Like, it's
No, I
just-
reckon he should have stuck to bodybuilding.
Yeah.
What he was doing before.
I love my favourite line out of any movie ever, I think, was when he played Iceman in one of the Batman films.
Oh, that was a
and he
bad
was,
movie.
He was about to get Batman and he said, "Eyes to see you."
That whole movie was just wrong.
I loved it. Hugh Grant's been mentioned as well.
Yeah.
Oh, he was good in Four Weddings. Elle Macpherson. I mean, really, is she an actress?
She was in that movie Sirens.
She was.
Oh, yeah, I only need to look at Elle.
Yeah, I had that on mute.
She's
beautiful.
And Madonna.
incredibly
Stunning.
beautiful.
Yeah.
What about Madonna?
Oh.
No. What's
No.
Would you
good-
classify her? I mean, yeah, I
Good
know
singer.
she's been in
no,
movies.
but movies, no. Yeah.
But not really an actress per se.
No.
More like cameos almost, yeah.
Well, I think they had one maybe little foray into it and it was a dreadful flop, so they stuck to what they know.
Madonna's had a lot
She's
of
had a
films,
couple
but
of movies.
yeah.
Yeah.
Other than the
She's-
Susan one, what else has she?
Desperately Seeking Susan. Then
That's
she was
right,
in
Desperately
Body of
Seeking
Evidence,
Yeah.
Oh.
which was like a rip-off of Basic
and she
Instinct.
did Dick Tracy.
She
She
did.
was in that.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a very good movie at all. And Evita?
Evita.
Oh,
She
I've
won the
seen
Golden
it.
Globe for Evita. Yeah, but that was like a series of film clips, music video clips
There was no
stitched
dialogue
together.
in that, was there? Wasn't it
All singing music videos, and she's good at that, so you'd expect her to. Okay, and the last person on our official top 5 most overrated actors in Hollywood is, drumroll, Brad Pitt.
Ta-da!
What a surprise. What about Brad Pitt? He's actually never won an Oscar. He's very
Surprise,
disappointed
surprise.
by that. So what's the story with Brad Pitt?
He's a bit like Tom Cruise, I think, just...
Tom Cruise bit him in the neck in Interview with the Vampire.
They were in a movie together.
I actually really like Interview with the Vampire. The thing about Brad Pitt is he mumbles for me. I can never understand what he's talking about. He just mumbles, I'm so cool, I'm just going to just not even bother
I'm not going to
speaking the
open my
dialogue.
mouth clearly enough.
And in the movie Seven, where they kept finding grisly murder, oh my God, his guts are everywhere all over the floor.
Yeah.
Like, God, open your mouth and talk. Listen to Morgan.
Enunciate.
He knows what he's doing.
I don't know. He was in that movie Snatch, and I couldn't understand a single word he said.
Didn't he
that
play
whole
Irish
movie.
man in
I
that?
just could not understand it. I'm like, I can't even watch this movie. I cannot understand.
It was the same
word.
with Seven.
What was that atrocious movie where Nicole Kidman and Shorty, what's his name?
Danny
Her hubby?
DeVito.
No, her husband.
Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise were in it together and they had that dreadful fake Irish accent.
Oh, far and away.
Far and Away?
Far and away.
Oh, good
Yeah.
Lord, that was a shocker, wasn't it?
Oh, it was terrible. Yeah, really bad stuff.
I think that was his one and only attempt at an accent, and it was so pathetic.
Now, Claire, you've been very quiet, but I know you're a bit of a Brad Pitt fan, aren't you?
Oh, no, not really. I used to be, but no, not really.
What about when you saw him in Thelma and Louise? Didn't you sweat a little?
Oh, absolutely, in Thelma and Louise. But when he was like younger in those, types of movies. But no, they're all the same. They've got a bit too, far up themselves, and they're all like plastic, and their shit don't stink, and
I love that expression.
And you hear so much about their private life, and it's just it's
it
too
takes
much.
away exactly,
It's
and it takes
just
away
too
from
much.
their acting skills. Like now,
Exactly.
Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt and Katie, Holmes and Tom Cruise and Suri, and you hear so much about that.
And it is hard to
takes away-
differentiate when you're watching them, isn't it?
Absolutely, and it was when they were younger. That's why I guess a lot of their older movies are
really
better
good, yeah.
because they didn't have that fame and they didn't have to, they had to prove themselves on the screen. Whereas now they just seem to slip into these roles and just play an average kind of part.
I think the problem is with acting, you have to be highly intelligent because you've got to really live in the shoes of someone else. And Brad Pitt, to me, I don't know the guy, but he doesn't strike me as particularly bright. Just to wrap it all up, Tracy, if Brad Pitt came up to you, asked you on a date, what would you say?
Yeah, no.
Oh, come on.
No.
Just a date?
Nah.
Really?
Claire?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
No, for Claire, if Tom Cruise came up and asked you on a date?
No, it's too short. He
Oh,
lies
really?
about his he says he's 5'10", but he's not. I don't like short
So
guys.
he's short and a liar.
Short, liar, arrogant. Don't like short men.
And Michelle, if Nicole Kidman came up to you and asked you on a date?
Yeah, I'd invite her home for a barbecue to meet the dogs and the hubby and the kids and
She'd
and
be
have a
highly
sausage
disappointed.
sanger. No, Nicole
Actually,
would like that, I reckon.
Can you bring your husband? That'd be interesting.
Who's her husband?
Keith Urban.
Ew, really? Actually, he's
like
a really good guitarist.
That's what I mean. He'd be great.
He's
for
an
around.
awesome
He's the
guitarist.
Strum on the guitar.
I like him.
If he put a bag over his head and just let him play the guitar, he'd be
He's
good.
cute. No, I like Keith Urban.
I think
You
that- I
ladies
think that's
are
a different show.
Very harsh, very harsh. Next time we meet, we'll be doing the top 5 most overrated TV programs. So if you've got an idea about that, we would love to hear from you. You're listening to the Time to Talk program. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure as always. Give us a call, 6585 3456.
It's time to talk.